Hey everyone, and welcome to our exciting new series. In this series, we will diving deep into the world of jewelry design and animation. Here the class is divided into the total 5 episodes in which we will unravel the creation of this amazing diamond ring with the 3 different animation. In the first episode, I will show you how to make the diamond ring using the basic modeling technique without any reference. In the second episode, we will add some material to make it sparkle and also add the background and lighting. In episode 3, we will start our first animation in which the diamond will come down from the top and join to the ring. In the fourth episode, I will do the final shot of the ring and give the camera and object movement by using graph. And in the fifth episode, I will do the animation of two rings which are parallelly rotated together. And in all the animation, I also set up the lighting and I will share the resources which I used. So let's get started with the first episode and I see you there. So hey everyone, welcome to the first episode of modeling of the diamond ring. In this episode, I am going to show you how you can create the model of the diamond ring. For modeling of the ring shape, I am adding a circle. So here is our circle. Now at the left corner you can see the add circle option where you can change the vertices. The vertices show that the circle will be formed by using this number of vertices. So here our circle will be made by the 100 vertices. Now here I rotate in Y direction by RY90 and then I scale in size. So now I am going to the front view and delete the half circle. By pressing tab, I am going to the edit mode and select the half of the vertices and press X to delete vertices. The reason I made half circle first and apply the mirror modifier to get full ring. So now I am extrude in X direction by pressing E and X and give it to width about like this. Now look at the image, our upper part is less than half. So I am going to the front view and select these two vertices. But here you can see that these two vertices are not selected. So make sure you are turning on the X-ray mode so that all the hidden vertices behind the first one is automatically selected. And after that I delete the vertices by pressing X. Here I am narrow down some starting few vertices. So I turning on the proportional editing object and scale it so that those vertices which are in the range of the circle are also be scaled sequentially. So now I am going to add some thickness. So by going to front view and select all and then press Alt T and select extrude face along normal. If you directly extrude by using E, you cannot get the perfect aligned result like this one. So here you can see that our bottom part of the ring is perfectly fitted on half, but at the upper part it not fitted on the half. So I select some interior part of the ring and grab to complete the half. So here I decrease the proportional editing object size by scrolling the mouse wheel and select the each vertices and grab it towards the completing the half circle. And then selecting some outer vertices and grab it upward direction so it gets some unique design. So here I use the proportional editing object and grab it to get the curve shape. And make sure you are turning on the X-ray mode so that the vertices behind it also be selected. So now it has taken the form of curve from the above, but it's look like a very sharp. To smooth it out, I apply a bevel modifier so that the property of the bevel modifier is appear. Here we can change the segment and amount value to get a different type of smoothness. So here I slightly increase the amount value and also increase some segment value to like 6 and close to it. So at the corner it becomes smoother. And now I am adding another modifier which is a subdivision surface so that it can be eliminate all the sharp edges. So here you can see that the difference of after adding a subdivision surface, and set the viewport and render layer to 2, and after that press right click and select shade smooth. So now our object is totally smooth and our half of the ring part is almost ready. So now I am adding a mirror modifier and select Y axis instead of X. But you can see that at middle it become a little gap, and if I grab the ring then the whole ring can be follow. So to solve this problem I am adding a plane and rotate in by RY and 90 and grab it behind the ring by GX. So I am going to the front view, select the ring and select the mirror object to the plane And now if I grab the object, it can be go the opposite side. So basically we add a plane for a support, but you can see that the gap is still there. So here I select the clipping option, and by using the plane support I grab the ring to y direction or maybe the other half of the ring. So both the ring are very close to it, and by using the clipping option it can be merged. So you can see that the gap is eliminated and the connection is very clean. But here just we add a modifier, not apply. So if you grab the object, then it can be move opposite and cannot ready for the animation. But I recommended you to create the whole ring along with the material and then apply the modifier. Here I am adding a loop cut by using Ctrl R at the middle of the circle and give some thickness by scaling in size. But the first one is go upward, so I unselect these first two vertices. So it's look like a slightly thicker from the middle. So here our modeling of the ring is almost completed, but we can apply the mirror modifier after the whole modeling and the material is applied. So now we have to put the diamond above the ring. So I am adding a diamond by going to the add mesh, and in the diamond option select the first brilliant diamond. So the diamond is appear and I am grabbing in Z direction and place above it. If you don't have a diamond option, then you can go to the edit preference and in add-ons search extra and tick mark on the extra mesh option, so that many more object or the mesh along with the diamond is appear. So back to the diamond, I am going to the front view and decrease the scale size and perfectly placed on the ring. And then going to the top view, and by turning on the X-ray mode, I am grabbing in X direction to place proper on the ring. So now our diamond is placed center above the ring. Here you can see that the yellow dot, which is the object origin from where the grab, scale and rotation can be done. So here I change the yellow dot position. So I select the last one vertices, and by pressing Shift S, select cursor to selected, so the cursor will come to the selected part. And in the object mode, select right click, set origin and origin to 3D cursor. So the position of the yellow dot at the bottom, and you can adjust the scale from the bottom, so that you can adjust the size without changing its place. And here I am increase the size by holding Shift, so it can be increase the minor size. And now I am unhide the plane and select all, and by rotate in Z direction by R, Z and 45 degree, because the handle is almost a 45 to the ring and I can easily made in the front view. So for making the handle, I am using a pen tool as a reference, and here I am drawing the handle shape manually just as a reference. Here it's not look the perfect, but for reference it's okay. So for a reference I am adding a cube and decrease the scale size and place at the top of the handle. And for making the circular, I am adding a subdivision surface and increase the level to 3 to get a perfect circle result. And here I am rotating in such a way that it can be extended in both way. So now I am turning on the X-ray mode and select these two vertices and extend in this direction. And as the same way, now I select these two opposite vertices and extend on this way. I know it has not taken its shape yet, but by grabbing the vertices I will give it shape. So here I select the one vertices and grab it according to a drawing shape. And as the same way, I select the vertices one by one and then give it to shape. Make sure you are in the front view and turning on the X-ray mode. If the X-ray mode is not turned on, then only the front vertices can change its shape, not the rear one. And because of I am in X direction view, then the grabbing can be only affect on the Y and Z direction, so that the width of the handle cannot be changed. So that's why I rotate in 45 degree. If you can't fit the shape by grabbing the vertices, you can simply add some loop cut to get the perfect shape. Here I give the shape of the handle manually cause the draw line cannot be made proper. And for the inner vertices I minor touched the diamond. Here I almost made the shape of the handle, but in the object mode I found out that it has the more thickness at the middle, so I change it. So now from the side I think it's perfect. Now I am going to the top view, and to narrow down its tail I turn on the proportional editing object and decrease the size. So now it's look perfect, and by scaling in X direction you can adjust its width. So I turn off the pen tool cause I no longer need it. And then by pressing rightly I do the shade smooth. Now we have to make it 3 sides. So as we did in ring object, to duplicate the other side by mirror modifier, we have to do same thing to complete the another 3 parts. So for the support I am adding a plane, but here you can see that the plane is not perfectly at the center, but we can change it later. So first I select the handle and use the mirror modifier and select the both axis X and Y, but it can be opposite, so I select the plane to get the support, and after that I rotate in 45 degree. And because of the plane is not at the center, it is not perfectly matched, so I grabbing in X and Y direction to match it proper. Whenever you satisfy with your work, please do not forget to save the file by using Ctrl S. So after some changing its position, our ring of the handle is completed. It's look good, but the mirror modifier is still not applied, so it has a chance to lose their position, but we can fix it later. So first thing I do is select all the part of the diamond ring including the plane, and at the last I select the outer ring. So it can be selected by yellow border, and press Ctrl P and select object with keep transform. So if I change the position of the ring, the whole diamond ring can be react, and it can be follow all the things like rotate, scale and changing the position. So now back to its place by rotate in Z direction by RZ minus 45. So here our diamond ring is look good, but the outer vertices of the ring is slightly upper. So I select those vertices and grab it down by turning on the proportional editing object. And I also adjust the another vertices around it properly. So here our modeling of the ring is completed. And if you are totally satisfied with your project, then you can apply the modifier. So here I simply applied it. Now if you are unhide the plane which we use as a support, it is now separated from the ring portion. But all the animation I will do in another file, so I will call him back and let him be by using Ctrl Z, so that if I want to change something, I change it later. So here our modeling of the diamond ring is completed. In the next video I will do a material and lighting so it's look real. So meet you in the next class. Hey everyone, in the second episode I am going to apply some material and add some lighting and background. So here I start with adding HDRI, so I go to the world property and change the color to environment texture, and then go to the render view. So before I apply the HDRI, first I change the render engine to a cycle, and now apply the HDRI. Here the HDRI is provided into the project resources, so you can use it. Okay, so now HDRI is applied, and here I change some sample in the viewport to like 50, and then change the device to GPU compute. If you don't have a GPU in your device, then you can simply use the CPU. So I back to the layout view, and now I am simply add a plane for a background and rotate the plane in Y direction by RY and 90, and placing behind the ring and increase the scale size so it cover the whole area for the background. So here our background is placed. Now for lighting I am adding a 2 plane for the side lighting. So here I rotate in X direction by RX90 and place right side to the ring, and here I slightly rotate a plane towards the ring, and here we can use the plane as the light. So I'm going to the shading view, but here we are in material view, so I change the render view and then select the plane and add a new material. And for making the light, I simply delete the principal BSDF, and by pressing Shift A, I am adding a new node which is emission node, and connect the emission to material output surface. And you can see that the increase of the strength can increase the light power. So here the emission node is used for adding a emit light with containing the color and strength value. And here I am increase the size of the plane so that it creates a good source of light. And now I am increasing the power value by increasing in strength value, and I set the value to like 10. By the way, you can also change the color. So now I am applying a material to the ring, so I select the ring and select the new material. Here the principal BSDF is up here, and here I increase the metallic value to 1, so it can become the metal, and decrease the roughness value so it becomes the full reflectable, but here I slightly increase the roughness value so that it becomes the tiny blurry. And for the reflection of light, here I increase the specular value, so select the specular and increase the IR value to 1, and also slightly increase the anisotropic and the rotation value. And here change the emission value to 1 and bring down the color to like a black. So now the body of the ring part is look like made in steel, but you can see that the white reflect is too much, which is the reflection of behind the plane. Look at this, if I change the color, the reflection will also change. So to eliminating the reflection of plane, here I select the plane and go to the object property, and in the visibility I uncheck the glossy effect. So you can see that the background plane of the light is totally eliminating, and the ring is look like a steel ring. Now after giving the material, I select the ring and then change the name of the ring. And here I give the same material to the handle. So I select the handle and directly select the steel ring. So it becomes the copy of the material. Now select the diamond and give the new material. But for the diamond, I don't need the principal BSDF, so I delete it and am adding a glass BSDF and connect the BSDF to the surface. So it becomes the glass of the material. But here I change the IR value. IR means the index of reflection. If you set IR value to 1, then all the light passes through a straight like a transparent. But if you increase the IR value, then it can become the more reflectable. Here all three model of the material is applied. So now I set up the light. So I duplicate the light and placed opposite of the first one, so that the source of the light can come from both light. And for the front light, I am adding a area light and place in front of the object and rotate towards the ring and adjust its position proper. But in the next episode, I will change the light property and position according to the animation. So for now, in the data property, I increase the power value to like 500 or even more, like 1000. Here the effect of front light will be less cause our object is too much big. And now we complete the setup of the lighting and applied the material. So we are ready to animation. So in the next video, I will do the animation in which the diamond joined to the ring. So meet you in the next class. Hey everyone, welcome to the 4th episode of animation. In this episode, I am going to give another sort of animation. And for another sort, I create another file. So in this animation, I need a ground. So first I am adding a plane and grab under the ring. And after the perfectly placing, I am increase the scale size. So now it is appear to be as a ground. And in this file, I am already applied the mirror modifier to the ring and change the object name. So now for the animation, I pull up the timeline, and here I need around 70 frame. So I change the end frame to 70. So here I rotate the ring in such a way that it's look like slightly from the side. So here I create the last scene in which the diamond ring can be revealed by simple rotation. So from this position my animation will be start. And now main thing, I am first adding the camera. So by adding camera and by pressing numpad 0, I go to the camera view, and by using shift and tilde I can do simply movement by using W, A, S and D. So first I set up the camera to very close to the ring like this, and at the last show the camera moving away from the ring. So here I set up the camera for the first frame, and after setting up the camera I simply give the keyframe by using I, and then go to the last frame and give the last frame position. So here I am keeping a little distance from the ring, and at the 70 I give another keyframe, and I also want a fast to slow movement of the camera, so I going to the half frame like 35 and give the keyframe. And now select the keyframe of the 35 and grab to like a 15 frame. So here you can see that a camera can move fast and then slow, but because of the timeline is bezier, the movement is not uniform according to the speed. So by using the vertical split I am adding another window, and in the left side of the window I am simply open the graph editor. So here all the movement of the camera we can see as a graph. So you can see there are so many lines, so I simply hide which I don't need. My camera movement is only in X location, so I only turn on the X location. So for the animation I have 3 keyframe and the 3 points are in the graph. So from 15 to 70 frame I give the constant movement and set manually to its linear movement. Suppose my graph is look like this with the 3 values 0, 15 and 70. So from 0 to 15 the movement is fast, but because of it is bezier, after that the movement is very slow like a 0 movement. So here from 15 to 70 I just simply create a manually linear shape. So from the starting the camera movement is start increasing the speed because of bezier and then constant. So here from 15 to 70 I simply adjust the graph like a linear, so that after the 15 it becomes the constant movement, and here also adjust the starting keyframe. And don't directly copy it, just check how your animation needs look, and if you do not satisfy then adjust until you want. So now check the camera movement. Yeah, I think it's perfect. And by the way, you can also change the position from the graph like this. So now our camera movement is like the increasing the speed and then constant like a product reveal, and then the camera movement is done. Now on to the ring. Here I don't close the graph window cause I also used for the ring. So at the frame 1 I set the ring position like this and go to the last frame and rotate it. Here I simply give the rotation in all of the direction like XYZ, and after give the position I add another keyframe so it get the normal rotation. And as we did in camera I give the keyframe at 35 and grab to 15 and adjust the movement in the graph. So I open the graph, but it's look very complex. To avoid the confusion I recommended you to hide the keyframe that you don't need. So here I want only Z rotation, so I only open the Z rotation and adjust the movement like as we did in camera. At the start 0 to 15 create the bezier, and then for constant movement create the linear. Here I give the same movement as I did in camera, so it match with the camera, so that it will be animate like it reveal the product for the last scene. So here I only want to animate a ring and the camera. So after the animate I simply join the area, and here you can see that our movement of animation is fine. So now after the animation we have to adjust the lighting and background, so make sure the device is GPU and engine is cycle. So now I open the render view, and yeah, it's too much bright. So here I little grab away from the ring and little rotate to distract it, but it's too much bright now. So here I decrease the scale size and just match with the scene. And another thing is, if you select the plane and go to the object property, make sure the glossy is turned off, otherwise it reflects the much light on the ring. And here I place the light again close to it, so at the corner part the light is tiny reflect. So now I am change the material of the plane of the ground, so I go to the material and add a new material. So here I turn off the roughness value to 0, then the reflection is clear, and increase the metallic value to like half and more, so it almost becomes the glass. And here you can see that the white plane on the ground is too much reflect, which is the HDRI. In the shading view I can edit the property of HDRI. To do that I change the object to world. So here is my HDRI property. So now I select the image texture and press Ctrl T. Then you can see that the two nodes appear, which is called the node wrangler. To enable it, go to the edit, preference, and in add-ons search node wrangler and tick mark on this option. By using the mapping node, we can change the particular value to the particular axis. So I simply change the value of z axis to rotation. So you can see that the HDRI is rotate in z axis, and here I rotate in such a way that it clear the area. So I think it's fine and there is no reflection of the HDRI. So now back to the layout view, I select the floor and change some other property. So first, to become a little blurry to the floor, I simply slightly increase the roughness value, so it becomes a little blurry, and also increase the metallic value, so it becomes the glass type. And after that, select the background plane and also mess with some property. So first I bring down specular value all the way down so that the light reflection is very less, and I match the color with the floor color, and also use the dropper tool to match the color. It is not necessary to give the exactly the same color, but I simply just match it. So here I mess with some metallic, roughness, specular, and some basic color value to get the perfect result. I also recommended you to mess with some all the value like I do, so that you also know which value works in which way. So after changing some of the value, I think I find the perfect matching result. I can't exactly copy the material from the floor cause our floor of the material is reflective. So without reflection I have to match the color with the floor. So now our movement of the animation and the lighting is perfect. So I render the one image and add a glare node as I did in the previous shot. So I take the 200 sample and the file format is PNG, and after that I render the single image out. So after render image I simply minimize it and go to the render view, and here I open another window by using vertical splint. So at the left window is my render view, and I change the right window to a compositor, and as we did in the first shot I select the use node option and add a glare node. So by pressing shift A, add a glare and place between the two of them. Now here I mess with some glare property like decrease the fade value, and here I increase the color management value and also change the threshold value. So here I reduce the shininess by changing the value of glare, and I adjust the value while looking the left side of the window. So after changing the value I am going to the layout view, and here I change the color management value. So as I told you in the first shot, the color management value can be affect on whole scenery. So I slightly increase or decrease the value to get a perfect result. So here I also tick mark on the use curve option and mess with some value until I find the best result. And if you are satisfied with your file, then don't forget to save the file by using Ctrl S. So now after changing the value I simply set the render result. Here I set the all setting which I already did in the first shot, like 200 sample and default camera resolution 24 fps. Here check the start and end frame 1 to 70, and here is the main point. For the output setting, when you are selecting the folder, I recommended you to create a new folder, not the old one in which you kept the last render clip. So for the animation 2, I create the new folder, name animation 2 and accept the folder, and change the file format is ffmpeg, and in the encoding change the container value to mpeg4. After set up all the settings, simply go to the layout view and then go to the first frame and then hit the render and render animation. But here I noticed two things, the white shadow on the ring and the light reflection on the diamond. Okay, so I checked the render view and yeah, there is too much white shadow. So what I do, first I select the floor and go to the object property and turn on the glossiness. Okay, so it can be eliminate a little shadow, and in the material I simply increase the metallic value and yeah, there is much better. And here I simply increase the roughness value to get the blurry reflection, and here I set the value to like 0.075, and I think it's perfect compared to the first one. And another thing is the much reflection on the ring or the diamond. To eliminate the reflection, first I check which light has more reflection by hiding it, and here I found the area light. So I unhide these two side light and everything I will change in area light. And by selecting the area light, I go to the data property and uncheck the multiple importance, and in the render property turn on the denoise option as well, so that it denoise the image and get the result like a render. And that's it. I think it's perfect, and every render setting we already done before. So I simply go to layout view and hit render animation. It will take some time to render the animation, and here is my final render result. So I rendered this video as a last clip, and if you do not satisfy the result that you want, then simply mess with some value, due to which you will also get to learn something. And if you face any query, then you can comment it. So in the last video I am going to give another shot in which the two rings are rotated parallel. So meet you in the next class. Hey everyone, welcome to the third episode of diamond ring animation. In this part I am going to animate a diamond in which the diamond will come down from the top along with the circular rotation and get attached to the ring. So here I set all the name for easy identification, and I will do the animation in another copied file. So for the body of the ring I simply applied the mirror modifier, because now I don't want to change anything, but its original file it kept separately. So here you can see that there is another file in which I will do animation. So start with the animation. First I simply delete the plane behind the ring cause I don't need anymore, and our ring does not rest on the plane. But here there is another plane for the handle which I will not delete, because I am going to give it an shape key. With the use of shape key we can open the handle for animation. So for the front view of the handle I rotate the ring to 45 degree so that I can easily change or edit the handle for the shape key. So for add the shape key I select the handle and go to the data property. Here you can see the section of shape key. Click on plus icon to add basic and press another time, then it will add the first shape key. Before I use, I will explain the basics of shape key. Suppose it is the handle of the ring. When you add a basic key, the blender will remember this shape as the original and set value to 0. And after that add a key 1. By selecting the key 1 you can change the different shape in the edit mode, and here the value of this different shape is 1, and that's it. By changing value 0 to 1 it can be animated, and you can simply change the shape by adjusting the value. So now back to the animation. By selecting the K1 I am going to the edit mode and simply change the shape of the handle, and by not apply the mirror modifier, all the change I do in the one handle it can be same effect on all of the handle. And after going to the object mode I can simply change the shape by changing the value, and if I applied the mirror modifier then I would have changed the handle shape 4 times, and obviously the result is not the same in all the 4 times. So that's why I didn't delete the plane of the handle, and by little adjustment I have changed the shape of the handle, and I think it is ready for the animation. So now after changing the shape of the handle I simply back to rotate the ring to its original place. So now on to the animation. Simply first I am adding a camera, and here our camera is appear. So by pressing numpad 0 I am in the camera view, and by pressing shift and tilt, I can move the camera by using WASD. By using WASD, you can go forward, backward, left side and right side, and by using Q and E, you can go downward and upward. So here I pull up the time bar, and if I hit the space, then the time bar is start moving. And here I change the end frame to like 100 or 110, so my animation start frame 1 to 110. So for animation, first I go to the frame 1 and adjust the camera movement. Here I am adjusting a camera in such a way that the camera can capture the diamond which is fall from top to bottom. After set the position of the camera, I press I and select location and rotation. So at frame 1, the camera location and rotation can be saved. Now I am going to the last frame at 110 and adjust the camera view where the animation can be end. And here I bring down the camera to like half of the ring and place right side close to it, so it's look like a camera can watching the ring from the right side. So at the last frame, after the adjusting the camera, I simply press I again and set the location and rotation. So now if you hit the space bar, then the camera can start moving from our first position to last position. And around 50 frame, here I notice camera position is too much at left area, so I adjust it and give another keyframe. So for the animation, the camera movement, I think it is good. And at the last frame, the camera can go outside the background, so I simply increase the scale size so that it can cover the whole area. And now it is perfect. Okay, so our camera movement is complete for the animation. So now I have to animate the diamond. Here at the 70 frame, I want to diamond at this location, so first I give the keyframe and then I go to the first frame and pull the diamond upwards and then give the keyframe. So from frame 1 to frame 70, the diamond will come down from above and then I pull the bar from the side. So here I am going to the item menu, in which I give the circular rotation on its axis. Here I only want to rotate on Z axis, so that's why I pull up this bar. So first I change the value of Z axis to like 3000 and then give the keyframe. So from frame 1 to frame 70, it's rotate 300 degree to 0 degree on its own axis. And here I want to speed like fast to slow, so here what I do, at frame 30 I give the keyframe and drag to 15 frame, so whatever happen in frame 1 to 30 will happen in 1 to 15 frame. So basically it's become fast, and by pressing T on the timeline I select the linear, so it give the constant movement. Like 1 to 15 is much fast and then slow. But at starting the rotation of diamond is too much, so I change the value. So look at it, at the 15th frame the value is around 202, so at the first frame I set the value more than 202 and less than 300 and I select the 250 and give the keyframe. So I think it is perfect for the animation. So here our movement of diamond is also be completed. Now onto the handle. So here I select the handle and I have to give the animation like it will remain the open and close when the diamond comes. So here diamond arrives at 70 frames, so at the 70 frame the value is 1 and I give the keyframe, and around 90 or maybe 85 frame I close the handle, so I select the 0 and give the keyframe. Here I select the keyframe at 70 and grab to like 65, so that it would appear that as soon as the diamonds arrive it will begin to close. So now I think it's look fine. So now here I am open the render view and let's check again. Okay, so now it's perfect, and make sure you are in the cycle engine and the device is GPU. So the camera, diamond and handle movements is now completed, and only thing remains to do is setting up some lights and background. So here I give some little adjustment of the light and also change the color and some property of the background. So here I darken the color bit and change some property like a specular value. Here I bring down the specular value all the way 0, so the reflection of the light is very less, but the reflection of the light on the ring is too much, so here I put little away from the ring. So now that's fine. Now by using the composition tab, here I am adding some shine. So around 100 frame I render the one image. So I change the render sample to like a 200, and in the output property make sure the file format is PNG. So here I am going to the render and render image. So it takes some time to render the image out, and after the render I simply minimize it and going to the rendering view. So here you can see our rendered image, and from the left corner I am going to add a vertical splint, and in the right window I change the render view to compositor. I am not go to the deeply, so here I select the use node option, so the two nodes is appear and make gap between them, and here I am adding a node which is a glare node. So here you can see that it get much shinier, so I mess with some value. If you hold the cursor on the particular value, then you can see that a little info about that. So here I start with the decreasing the fade value. Here the fade value is factor out the streak, and mess with some other value until it's look fine. I recommended you to not copy the actual value, just try your own. And here at the last I am going to the layout view and simply change the color management value to get the different result. Here the color management value can be affect on the whole scene, so I slightly change the values. Here I change the exposure and gamma value, and also tick mark on the use curve option and mess with some value. So now I think it's look fine, and we are almost done for the first animation. And for render result I set the sample value to 200 and check on the denoise option in the render view, and in the output property there is my default camera resolution, and here I set the 20 fps. If you change the 60 fps then it get much smoother and much faster, but I set to default like a 24, and I think it is okay. If you want another FPS then you can simply change it. After that verify your frame range from start to end, and in the output I simply select the folder in which our animation can be stored. So I create a new folder and change the name to animation 1. You can do anywhere you want to store it, and after the setting up the name I simply accept it. Here you can verify the file path, and in the file format I select the FFmpeg, and in the encoding change the container value to mpeg4, and don't forget to save the file. Now before the render the animation, make sure you are in the layout view, otherwise it will render the twice. And at the last go to the render and render animation. Now it take much time to render it, cause it render frame 1 to frame 70 each of the frame. And after the render, here is my render result. I hope you like it. If is there query then you can comment down below. So there is our first shot. In the next video we will do the second shot of the animation. So meet you in the next class. So hey everyone, welcome to the last episode of Diamond Ring Animation. In the last episode I am going to give my final shot in which the two rings are parallel rotate. So I add a basic need for the animation, which is the camera. By pressing numpad 0 I am going to the camera view, and by pressing shift and tilt I can move the camera by using WASD. So here I am setting a camera in such a way that it can be a front view of the diamond ring. Now I need another diamond ring, so I simply select all along with the plane and then shift D to duplicate it, and by right click placing it default position. So here our another ring, which is ring 0.001 is appear, and now I am hiding the plane in both the ring. So now if you select the one ring and grab it, then you can see the another ring behind it. So I select the first ring and rotate in Y direction by RY and adjust like this. Now it's the same way, I select another ring and rotate in also Y direction and place opposite to the first one. So with keeping this distance, I am placing the two ring parallel like this, and here I am set the position of the ring in this direction where the ring's animation is ends. After the parallel, I rotate the ring in Z direction around I think 40 is enough. So R, Z and 40, and it's the same way I select another ring and simply rotate opposite, so R, Z and minus 40, and here I take the end frame to around 70. You can make as many frame as you want. So as I told you, this is my end position, so I am going to frame 70 at the end and give the keyframe, and it will take around 30 frame to rotate it. So I think at the frame 40 I change the rotation of the both ring oppositely. So here I rotate the ring in Z direction about positive 40, and to give the another one opposite movement, select the another ring and rotate in minus 40. So at the frame 40 I give the another keyframe. So yeah, I think it's perfect. So now for the starting, I am going to the frame 1, select the first ring and now rotate in where's the end. I have to rotate in left side around like positive 30, so RZ and positive 30, and same way select another ring and here I select the negative 30, but I want to bring the ring from outside the camera, so here I give some random rotation like in X direction around minus 30, and for another ring I have to give also a minus 30 in X direction cause our rotation is opposite but the movement is same, and then select the both ring and keep it slightly out of the camera by manually, and after placing both the ring outside I select the both ring and give the keyframe, and now if I play the animation, I think it's look fine. And by the way, if you want to change anything between the animation, so go to that frame and change anything and then give the keyframe. So here I place both ring almost parallel to each other, and then after selecting both ring I give the keyframe so that it's look fine. So now I have to animate the camera as it were approaching from the far. So first, keeping the camera away from the ring, at the first frame I give the keyframe, and then go to the last frame and put the camera close to the ring. After placing the camera I give another keyframe. So now if you are play the animation, I think it's perfect, but it's bezier, so I select the both keyframe and press T and select the linear, so now it give the constant movement. So now time to set up the lighting and background. So I'm going to the render view, and as usual too much bright, and if you hide the light one by one then you can see that the area light can be reflect too much. But here I don't want to stop the reflection altogether. Instead I decrease the scale size and place very close to the ring and rotate towards the ring. So as you can see the reflection on it, so I think its reflection is fine. And there is another reflection of the side 2 plane, so select the right side of the plane and go to the object property, and now in the visibility if I turn the glossy then it can be eliminate the white shadow, but you can see that the reflection on the above one diamond which is of the area light. So what I do, I go to the data property and here I decrease the power, so the reflection is less but not total eliminate, so I turn off the multiple importance so it eliminate but not totally cause the light is too much close to the ring. Here you can see that the white blurry shadow is still there, but it's fine for the little reflection. So now for the left side of the plane I adjust the size or other property so that it cannot be get over shadow or reflection, but in this case I do not turn off the glossy, otherwise the reflection is totally off for the ring cause we already turn off the reflection from the right side of the plane. Here I simply change the rotation and the scale size from the camera so that I can see the reflection from the camera. So I think I have to decrease the power, but the plane is copy of the material, so everything I change in this plane will also be happen in the other one. And to separate them, select the two number and then change the property. So now the two plane of the material is separated. So now I decrease the strength value and check it, not the 3, I think 6. It is still not perfect, so I increase or decrease the scale size and give some random rotation. So here I think I have to change the place of the plane slightly from the front, and yeah, it's perfect. So I change back the strength value to 10 for much brighter, and you can also change the color. If you want to give some different light, then you can simply give it, but I change to white. So our animation and the light can be done. So as we did in previous two animation, I adding a glare node. So here I change the render sample to like 200 and I render the image at frame 70. So after render the image, I minimize it and go to the render view. I simply add a vertical split and at the right side window open the compositor tab, select on use node option and add a glare node between them. And as the same way, I simply mess with some properties so it looks shiny. First I decrease the fade value and then increase the threshold value and increase some color management value. As I told you, do not directly copy the value. Instead, try changing the new value yourself so that you have an idea by changing which value what will happen. So that here I changing the glare value, and as usual I change the color management value to get the better results. So I changing the exposure and gamma value very slightly cause it affect the whole scene. By holding the shift value I can slightly change the value, and as usual also tick mark on the use curve option and mess with some value. Whenever you get the progress, don't forget to save the file by using Ctrl S. And after changing and setting up some value, here I simply change the render setting. So here engine is cycle and here the camera resolution is my default setting set to 24 fps, and the main thing, here I create the new folder. So here I recommended you to create a new folder whenever you are render the video. So after accept it, here file format is ffmpeg video and in the encoding set container to mpeg4. So now everything is set up and we are ready for the animation. So I am going to the viewport at the first frame and render the animation. If you find a problem, then solve it. So at around 2 to 3 frame I find a very blurry white shadow. Here you can see that I find this problem, but our background has no glossy effect. So do some searching. I found the problem, which is the problem of HDRI. Here our right side of the HDRI wall is too much white, so that is the reflection of the wall. So what I do, I simply duplicate the background plane and place it in such a way that the right side of the ring is covered. So here I placing behind the light, and here I increase the scale size too much. But since it is the duplicate of the background, so every change I do in the right side of the wall, then it can affect the both of the background because it is the copied material. Now if I press the 2 button, now it is separated. So here I am going to the object property and turn off the glossiness. So now our background is glossy, so if I change the color, then it affect on the ring also. So here what I do, I simply increase the metallic value and decrease the roughness value, so that effect is also be reflected. So here I change the color to like totally white, and everything I change in metallic and roughness value to match with the ring. Or I simply see the value of the ring. So roughness is 0.041. So now I select the wall and set roughness to 0.041. And here I little mess with some color management value. So after solve this problem, I am going to the layout view and add the 200 sample, and then from the frame 1, here I simply render the animation. So here it takes some time to render it out, and here is my render result. I hope you like it. If you face with the problem while doing any project, mess with the possible setting until it fixed. If you try this animation, then you can also upload in the class gallery. I would really happy to see it. And if you face any query, then you can simply comment it. So meet you in the next class. Till stay safe and stay healthy.